So you love somebody so much, but there's a little, there's a little something. There's always this one conversation you keep coming back to. And underneath it all, it might be about values. Little did we know in Becoming Universe that when the values bridge emerged into the world, that the immediate first off-label use of it was going to be not becoming you, but becoming us, because our values do not exist in a vacuum. They exist in an ecosystem, and thus Becoming Us has become something. And we're doing it today on the pod. This is Becoming You, this podcast where each week we endeavor to help you answer the question, what should I do with my life? And a lot of times that's in what you're doing with your life has a big component of it, maybe even the biggest component of it, is relationships and romantic relationships. We are so lucky today because we have two fabulous people on to do Becoming Us with us. Thank you. Let me introduce you to our fabulous guest today. Sam Feher is probably very well known to many of you. I was on your fantastic podcast. I loved it. We had the best time.
It was so good. We didn't stop yapping for like an hour after we wrapped recording.
I know. Little do people know that we had that podcast, which please go listen to our podcast together. And afterwards we sat in the studio and talked for yet another hour. And
your team was like, we need to leave.
I know. They were not too amused. And I want to introduce also William Hayden. I now know your middle name. Can I say it?
You can say it.
William Niedermeyer Hayden. Okay, because I was complimenting you for such an easy name. They are a couple who have willingly taken the values bridge together, and we're going to talk about their values, some of which are overlapping, and some of which leave us some places for conversation because they're not exactly overlapping. And look, it is no accident that the values bridge is called the values bridge, because it is exactly meant to build a bridge so you can have conversations around differing values, which is what we're going to do some of today. You have some very overlapping values, but there's some places we can have some conversation.
Sure.
And so we're going to do that. But first, I really want you to get to know our guests on the pod today a little bit better because they're both fabulous people. Sam, you are everything, right? So you've been, you've been a famous reality star, and then you reinvented yourself. Why don't you just give us the thumbnail bio for who you are? Although, again, familiar probably to many of our listeners.
Sure. I started my career in magazine journalism because I saw The Devil Wears Prada when I was 9, and I was like, I need that in my life. Which I don't know how many people say that.
I think millions.
Yeah. Well, it turned out that way because that's kind of when people started following me on social media.
Yeah.
So I, did the corporate America girly fashion closet hustle, and then decided to work for myself because I was super ambitious. There were not enough growth opportunities. It wasn't fast enough. It wasn't big enough. And so while I was working for myself, this opportunity to go on reality TV came up, and I'm just like not the kind of girl who says no to an adventure, an opportunity. And I was thinking like, how many people can say they did this in their 20s?
You were young when it happened.
Yeah, they cast me when I was 24. So I definitely wasn't like the finished version of myself. And
The show was Summer House, by the way,
yes,
of which I'm aware most of you have watched. So, okay, so what happened?
I think for me, it was a great opportunity to accelerate my finding myself journey, my becoming you,
right,
if you will. Because how many people get to have that out-of-body experience where they see themselves interact with people, they see themselves, make friendships and like break up and like have trauma and have good things also. Right. And then after that, I felt like I had been under this magnifying glass. I was not 45 minutes once a week for 10 weeks is not really enough to capture who you are. And so I set out to kind of figure out really for the first time who I am and like come up with the final version of who I think I am.
Right. Well,
so I'm on that journey
final for now.
Totally.
You will reinvent. And, all right. So William, tell us about yourself. You're a founder. So fill us in.
Yeah. I mean, in the spirit of reinventing, I think that I'm one of those people who's done it over and over.
Yeah.
I was a Shakespeare scholar in an English major with a concentration in dystopian studies.
Just like most people.
Right.
Naturally.
And so then, of course, I became a consultant focused on crisis litigation in my first job.
Okay.
And then from there, I went to IPG, the media holding company, and worked on new capabilities within their largest media agency, ended up working with the chief content officer to build a net new film and television production company, produced some documentaries, won some awards doing that. And then I said,
There's a telly sitting in our bookcase.
I mean,
Like,
so this
would
was
we
all
not-
before the age of like 25 or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Well, were you just sort of were you on like the achievement conveyor belt? Like just go, go, go? Or
The thing is, in the moment, none of it felt like achievement.
Yeah.
I think because I had no idea who I was
Right.
trying to be or where I was trying to get. So I was just doing the next thing that came along
Yeah.
and then saying, this isn't it, so let me jump.
welcome to your 20s, by the way.
Yeah.
And I was doing it as a kid as well.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the child of small business owners, and I got together about 6 years ago with some very dear friends who are also the children of small business owners to think about how we could build something that helped small business owners grow. So we have a company, it's called Bags.
Yeah.
It's a little tongue-in-cheek, securebags.com. And the goal there is to make sure that small business owners have what they need. And really what we have is a financial control platform that gives small business owners the power to manage, borrow, and spend their money better.
Congratulations on what you're building. It's very exciting, but let's get right down to the romance of it. How did you two meet?
Do you want to tell it?
I'm happy to tell it. I've known Sam since before Bravo.
Okay.
It's true.
So
How did you know each other?
I lived in an apartment with 4 other people because it's New York and that's how it goes.
Was it the party house? Is that how you ended up there, or what?
Not really.
Eh,
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, I was a little drawn in
I don't
by
know.
the
We
party.
built a
You
stage
had-
in the living
yeah.
room and had concerts.
But that's
Okay,
not
all
what
right.
brought me there. I was dating one of the roommates.
Okay.
It sounds more scandalous than it really is.
All right. You were dating one of the roommates. Go on.
The boyfriend and I broke up right at the beginning of COVID. At the same time, he was having a falling out with all the roommates.
Okay.
And so everyone splits up to go to their parents' houses for COVID,
Right.
thinking it'll be a week. I think we each packed like a carry-on suitcase,
Right.
thinking like, see you next week for that party.
Right.
And then we all didn't see each other for a year.
Right. Then what happened?
You've heard of the invisible string theory?
No.
That one suggests that 2 people can be tied with an invisible string.
Yeah.
So it'll cause them to interact periodically over time until ultimately they're drawn together. There's an alternate version called the three meetings theory.
What?
He taught me about
And
this
it
at a wedding. It was
says
cute.
that you'll meet once when you're not interested.
Okay.
And I think we had that in the apartment.
Okay.
You'll meet again when you're not ready.
Oh,
And-
interesting.
And that, you know, we did end up going out to dinner at one point years ago. But not like
Nothing really
both
manifested.
busy, nothing really
Okay.
manifested out of it. And then you'll meet again when you're ready to fall in love. And we almost to a T
Yeah.
lived that theory.
Over a year and a half later, we live together. We're so happy. We love each other's families. We are making plans for the future. We're taking the values.
All right, let us talk about it. I
What?
love this story, and I think the whole world is endlessly fascinated by how people get together. And here's
Yeah.
the interesting thing: there is no connection at all between how you met and how successful the relationship is.
Totally.
There's no paradigm. There's no like, well,
Totally.
you've got to meet this way. I want to pause for a second, and I want to just explain what the values bridge is, because if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, and if you are, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Immediately after this podcast, go back and listen to all the others, okay? The Becoming You process helps you paint a self-portrait of yourself when you're standing still by excavating a couple of sets of data. The first set of data is your values, what your deeply held beliefs are, your motivations. And it also excavates your aptitudes and your economically viable interests. Those second 2 data sets are very important when you're thinking about careers, which we're not doing here. We're thinking about building lives together. And so to facilitate the excavation of the values data, what your actual values are, I was frustrated with the tests that are currently available. I was frustrated with the way people talk about values. And so together with my team at Becoming You Labs, we developed a psychometric test called the Values Bridge, which rank orders your values in order from 1 to 16. If you haven't taken it yet, I highly urge you to take it. You can take it at thevaluesbridge.com. There's a free version and there's a paid version. There is a functionality on the Values Bridge where you check a box, and if another person opts in, it shows you your values in comparison to another person's. And one of the things about teaching it at NYU is how many of my students say, when we take the Values Bridge, I'm going to take this with my whole family over the holidays. And I'm like, have a good
Yes, enjoy.
It's like, look, please come back.
Godspeed.
Please come back in one piece. No, I mean, I think it does so much good. I mean, I think it opens up understanding so much. All right, so let's start with a value where you have a lot of difference. Okay, let's just go there right away.
Sure.
And it's a value that's very near and dear to my heart because it's my number one value. And this is the value of cosmos, which is the value of faith. It's irregardless of your faith tradition. Okay, it doesn't make any difference if you're Muslim, Christian, no matter what. It's about how much your faith matters to you as a motivator. For you, it was a top 5 value, as it is for me. But for you, Sam, it's your last value.
Yeah.
So I'm going to presume you've talked about this difference.
This is one of those categories in which I've done a lot of self-discovery. And I'll sound insane. But I was raised in what I call a lightly Christian household, where we were holiday Christians.
Yes, we call you C&E Christians. Christmas and Easter, you show up at church.
That was me as a child as well.
So that was sort of what was going on. As I got older, I started to be the one who got really into it. Yeah. Because I went and I read the text.
Yeah.
And I started doing sort of extracurricular activities in the church, and then I had some discontent in life, and I think a deep misunderstanding of what God was meant to be, and therefore I decided to start to interrogate faith a little more deep, and that led me to the realization that Old Testament is Torah. And so I read Old Testament as Torah, and I went and practiced what Judaism was. So to have that experience, and then I realized the Abrahamic God is Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam. And I read Quran and I practiced Islam to see what that was like. And then I went to Eastern traditions and studied the Vedas, which birthed Hinduism and Buddhism. And I picked the vehicle of the Diamond Thunderbolt and practiced Buddhism for a period of time. And then in college, I studied nature-based ideologies. And that I was looking for God, striving to find God in all those places. And I never managed to. But what I learned was that, and simply what cosmos means to me is that if I consider myself to be the ultimate power of the universe, I will not find myself achieving or producing or contributing in the way that I want to.
So this is deeply intellectually and emotionally important to you.
Deeply.
I think that's why it works, because I was not raised religious, but we did Christmas and Easter because my parents, similarly, one grew up in a Catholic household, one grew up in a Protestant household, but they weren't super devout. So I wasn't super raised in religion, but I find religion fascinating as an intellectual exercise. And so when I was in school, I actually took religion classes, and I went to school in North Carolina. So my professors were all like Catholics and Christians and Southern Baptists. Yeah. But we learned everything. We learned about every single different type of religion and ideology. We even had like a section within the curriculum on cult religions. And I found it beautiful and fascinating. And I've been to church, I've been to temple, I've, been to these places. And I think that my value of belonging and like interest and engagement in community and feeling like a space where people love each other and have something to look up to and to hold themselves accountable and to help them find purpose in their lives. Like, I have so much respect for it.
I want to tell you a little story. When I met my husband, and we had a spectacular marriage, just a very beautiful marriage. So I had been, since I was around 14 years old, a really committed Christian, and I still am. And it bothered me. He was a cultural Catholic. And I remember early on thinking, I love this man so much, but this is a problem because you cannot separate me from my deep faith and my Christianity. But he said from the and he was like, he knew nothing. He was a true cultural Catholic. We'd go into a church and I would say, who is that up there on that frieze? Who's that a picture
He's like
of?
scratching
And
his
he would
head.
say like Joseph, and I would be like, oh my God, that is St. Paul. Okay. And he would say, who's Paul? And I would be like,
oh no.
Okay, so but here's the thing that saved us. had to go into religious counseling before we got married at my church because they
Right,
wouldn't
like
marry us unless
pre-Cana.
we did it. And I remember the pastor said to him, Jack, we're happy to marry Suzy, but we don't typically marry people like you because you don't have a relationship with Jesus, okay?
Right.
And Jack said, and it was the absolute foundation of what was to grow in our marriage. He said, yes, but I want what she has. And I think I'm kind of hearing that with you guys in that, you know, and they were like, oh, okay, we get it. And he goes, whatever she's got, I'm on that journey with her. I'm not there yet. This is the first step. Where she's going, where she's leading me, I will go.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what happened over the next 20 years. And I taught Bible study. He was in the front row.
Yeah.
He was my best student. And then if he met somebody who wasn't coming to my Bible study in our community, he would say, you know, you're missing Suzy's Bible study. I mean, he was like really like, so I would say, continue on this journey together because you're very open intellectually and emotionally to what he's going through. I don't know if you have a good church. You should find a good church that's very open-minded and encourages seekers. Yeah,
We're doing it already. We go to church. Yeah.
I want
we
to
talk about the lesson afterwards.
The other
and
day
it's a
I
Bible
asked
study
him,
of a church.
Yeah, the other day I asked him for a Bible because I want, this is kind of embarrassing, but I want the Bible, like as it is, as God intended. And then I want like a children's Bible that has like passage and explanations because for me, like to your point that like you're not sure what God looks like. You're not sure like what the embodiment of God is. Like for me, I feel spiritual when I'm in a room full of people who are like striving to be best versions of themselves.
Okay.
I feel spiritual in that community setting. So like I asked for a Bible and he was like, okay.
I love this journey you're on. It'd be very interesting when you both take the values bridge again in a year.
Yeah.
Where this shows up. It'd be very interesting.
Post-Bible study.
Let's talk about belonging. It's another value where you have some difference. And for you, Sam, it's incredibly high. It's your number 2 value. So belonging is the value of friendship and community. You just mentioned it. I do think it may be linked to your, it may be actually right now a proxy for your cosmos.
Yeah.
But for William, for you, it's a real peripheral value. And so the way this might play out in a relational setting is that, you know, what are we doing like this 3 years from now? What are we doing this weekend? I think we should stay in and just have some quiet dinner. And Sam saying like, the Smiths are having a party.
It's already happening.
It's already happening.
It's happening. Yeah. Something about my life is I have a pretty small family, biological family.
Right.
So chosen family has always been really important to me. I'm a big plan my life 3 years from now. I'm a big plan my family, plan my social calendar.
Right.
And William is like, what do we have tomorrow? Nothing. And I'm like, oh, actually, I've scheduled dinner with Lauren and Jan. And next weekend, we're doing this with like this group.
So what are you going to do about this? Is this is already bubbling up? Mm-hmm. How are you navigating it?
I would say it hasn't bubbled up in a negative way.
I think it's good for both of us.
And I think the answer is, testing comfort zones is important, and sacrifice is important in a relationship.
It is. It totally is. And I think actually, you know, the language allows you to sort of say, look, your belonging is a little in my face today. Okay. And it's like,
we're going to start using that.
We need to kind of respect my belonging at number 14, if you don't mind. And what this does is it stops you from saying you're this, you're that. It's like, we're talking about a value. It exists on a continuum. Let us talk about how we're in different places and respect each other.
There's no connotation to my belonging.
Right. I know.
Right. It's like the putting it. But I will say like your 14 belonging forces me to slow down and like take time for myself, which is really good for me. And I think my 2 belonging? I think my 2 belonging gets you outside the house. Like this morning when we were walking here, he was like, wow, this air feels good. I haven't been outside much the last 2 days. And like that is, and by the way, you can turn it on. Like we go out and he's having the time of his life.
Yes.
He's like on, but then we get home and we're like nonverbal, you know, it's a good balance. It forces us to both do things that are good for us.
Yes.
But I think it actually, our difference in belongings really creates balance in our life together.
And it helps that your belonging is the least offensive version of belonging that I can imagine.
Like there's some really offensive versions of belonging.
Like what? Wait,
when I was a kid, my dad used to say to me, nothing good ever happens after midnight. And I didn't believe him. And then I made a version, eventually nothing good ever happens after 2 a.m. because I live in New York.
Yeah, right.
Now I'm there. Nothing good ever happens after midnight. And if Sam wanted to go to the dance club till 4 a.m. every week,
that would be different.
I'd be in
right,
trouble.
but her belonging is more like, let's go out to dinner with good friends.
Literally.
And be
things
home by
that
9.
we both love. Like a game night.
Yes.
I'm so in.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah, my kids love game nights. They do. They're playing this game called Catan.
Oh,
Oh,
forget
yeah.
it.
Okay.
Settlers of Catan.
Okay, that's what they're playing.
I'll say things I don't mean.
Okay.
You know? like we need to be
When my
careful.
business partner and I play, we have to hug at the end to make sure that we leave it all on the board.
Yeah,
We
I don't play with them because they're over there and it is intense.
No, it's intense. And like we went, we rented a house upstate with just a group of friends a couple months ago. And it was my first time having a game night with his friends.
Yeah.
And before we got there, I said to him, like, I'm really competitive and I'm really smart and I'll kill your friends.
Oh,
and he said, don't worry, everyone's competitive. And at the end of the game, it like wrapped up. And I remember we all looked at each other and we said, we're friends. Game night stays in the game night room. And that's it. But like, that is exactly the kind of belonging I have. It's like 3-hour dinner, home by 9, in bed by 10.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's,
right.
You're right.
And then you can hug it out afterwards.
Totally.
I want to talk as we come to a close about some of the values that you have in common. Let's end on the big green flag, which I'm really excited about, and that involves the value of belovedness. And belovedness is the centrality you place on your romantic partner, on your, I call it the marriage value, but you can have belovedness high and really express belovedness without it doesn't have to be in marriage. It can be in a close partnered relationship without it. Some people do not believe in marriage. So I worry so much in a couple when one person has high belovedness, saying like, I'm building my life around this romantic partnership, and the other one has it as, look, it's not like nobody wants belovedness or that anybody, but they don't care about it. It's not the defining organizing principle of their life. And I don't mind if two people have it sort of at number 8, or if they both have it at number 9, or even if they both have it at number 16. What I really am scared of is when one person has it at 1 and one person has it at 16. That is a recipe. That's why marriages end.
Yeah.
That's why they end. But you two both have it very high. It's not the exact same number, but it's very close. You're both in the top 5 for both of you. And this is an incredibly big green flag to me. It means that when push comes to shove with values, you're going to put the relationship first. That worked for me and Jack. We had this thing, we called it the marriage. And we used to say to each other, there's no you and there's no me. There's the marriage. And we would often say to each other things like, how would that affect the marriage? We never would say, how does that affect you? How does that affect me? It was like, how will that affect the marriage? We really cared about this third entity.
Yeah, we both grew up in families where our parents were very lucky. Like our parents have been married for like 35, 40 years each. So I think we had really good examples of love for our whole lives. And so
it's beautiful.
It's very easy for us. It's very natural for us. But I actually don't know that value would have been high for me until I found the right person.
Yes, it's a seismic event when you find the right person. For me,
completely different than where it would have been 2 years ago.
Yes, I think a seismic event can do that. And I'll tell you, after Jack died, belovedness went to my last value. So I think it can change both ways. I think fitting in with your high belovedness, both of you having high family centrism, I'm glad they're all aligned up there in the top. Again, you can have a very happy relationship with somebody if you're both having lower family centrism and lower belovedness, but having it up there high, you're going to have some good holidays, I bet.
Yeah, I think so.
And it introduces attention because families, like with both of those values up top, there's also a little bit of defensiveness around, but my family is very important to me on this day.
Yes.
And so I think the belovedness being up there will hopefully support the ability to navigate those conversations.
You make a great point. There's a little bit of sorting out when both family centrism and belovedness are high, but you respect, because you both have it high, you will have empathy for the other person, but there's a little sorting.
And we're very lucky to love each other's families, right? Like the tension's not like, we should spend it with my family and not your family. It's like, we both want to be with all the families on the same day, and it's impossible. So our agreement is we have to split for the actual day because we're not married yet. Yeah. We're like, there's at least like a clear line that we can make. Like we can make a rule for now. Yes. We'll split on the day, but we're going to have to, it's either a commute or we're hosting when we're married.
Yeah, like you'll get in the car like everyone else. So
yeah, exactly.
I am so glad you came on the show.
We were so happy.
I'm so happy. This is Becoming You, but this is a special edition of Becoming Us, and you're great to come and do this with us. And I am sure that people who heard this are having a lot of ahas and a lot of hmms. Tell everybody where they can find you, how they can learn more, how they can enter your worlds more.
Well, I'm all over the internet. So you can just search my name, Samantha Feher, Feher, anywhere, Instagram, Google, wherever. And you can find my podcast. It's called Caps Lock, CAPSLOCK.
My company's called Bags. Yeah. That's at securebags.com.
Securebags.com. And if you're in small business, this is definitely a website to go to go learn more about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to listen to my favorite podcasts, you can check out Caps Lock and Becoming You.
Thank you. That was the
Perfect.
belovedness was there, and then something else came. It kicked in, which might just be sort of savviness. So thank you very much. I hope you have a fabulous walk home, of sort of processing this, and I think a lot of people will be processing it along with you.
Great way to start the day.
Yay! All right, thank you. This is Becoming You. I'm Suzy Welch.